Family, I don't know who told you that you were ordinary, but they didn't see what God placed inside you. They didn't see the fight you survived. They didn't see the strength you had to borrow just to make it here today. But I see you. And more importantly, God sees you. And I believe he brought you into this moment because something in your spirit is tired of settling. Something in you is ready to rise. You're not here by accident. You're here because you're about to step into a version of yourself that you've been praying for, crying for, and sometimes even doubting you were worthy of becoming. Today, I want to talk about 7 daily habits that make you unstoppable, not because you need to become unstoppable, but because you already are unstoppable. These habits simply help you remember it. They align you with your purpose. They tune your heart back to the frequency of heaven. They pull you out of survival mode and place you back into destiny mode. So lean in, take a deep breath, and get ready. Because after today, you won't walk the same. You won't think the same. And consistency creates momentum in ways that are often invisible at first. And that's why so many people underestimate its power. We live in a world that celebrates big wins, dramatic breakthroughs, and overnight success. But the truth is that the most unstoppable people you'll ever meet are consistent long before they are celebrated. Consistency is the quiet builder behind the scenes, the thing that keeps shaping you when no one is watching, when no one is applauding. And when you're not even sure if what you're doing is working, it's the commitment to show up even when the feeling that motivated you to start has long faded. It's deciding that the version of you you're becoming deserves your daily effort, even if today doesn't look like transformation. And that kind of decision plants a power inside you that begins to build momentum from the inside out. Momentum doesn't start big. It starts small, so small that you often question whether anything is moving at all. It starts with 5 minutes of reading when you'd rather scroll. It starts with getting out of bed when your emotions tell you to stay down. It starts with one honest prayer, one repeated affirmation, one step taken in faith instead of fear, because momentum isn't created by occasional intensity. It's created by daily intention. When you choose consistency, especially on the days where your feelings don't cooperate, you send a message to your mind, your body, your spirit, and even the atmosphere around you that you are committed to progress. And when you repeat that message long enough, momentum grows. There's something powerful about knowing that you are dependable to your own destiny. Most people can keep promises to others, but struggle to keep promises to themselves. Yet consistency is built on the practice of honoring your own word. When you say you're going to do something and then you actually follow through, you're not just completing a task, you're building internal trust. You're teaching your mind that your words carry weight. You're teaching your spirit that you can rely on yourself. That kind of trust becomes fuel for momentum, because once you believe in your ability to follow through, taking the next step becomes where the resistance begins to fade. Excuses lose power. The old narratives that used to convince you to quit start growing quiet. But consistency isn't glamorous. It's not loud. It's not something that earns applause or validation in its early stages. It's often lonely because growth usually happens in private long before it manifests in public. There are days when you'll feel like you're doing everything right and seeing nothing in return. Days when your progress feels microscopic. Days when your effort seems unnoticed. But consistency is a seed, and seeds do their best work underground. Momentum grows in the hidden places, beneath the soil of your routine, beneath that no one sees, beneath the small decisions that feel insignificant. And just like a seed, once momentum breaks the surface, it grows faster than you expect. What took months to build can suddenly shift in days, because momentum multiplies what consistency begins. Consistency also rewires your identity. Every time you show up, you're casting a vote for the person you want to become. Maybe you've carried labels that didn't honor your potential, inconsistent, unfocused, easily distracted, not disciplined enough, but every consistent action challenges those labels. Every day you choose to follow through, you're rewriting your story. Consistency is not about perfection, it's about direction. It's about choosing your future over your comfort, choosing your growth over your excuses, choosing who you're becoming over who you've been. And the more you choose in that direction, the more your identity begins to shift. You stop seeing consistency as something you do and start seeing it as something you are. There's also a spiritual component to consistency. When you show up daily with intention, you create space for God to meet you. You open room for wisdom to speak, for strength to rise, for clarity to settle, for discipline to deepen. God honors consistency because consistency aligns you with purpose. You're not just floating through the day waiting for motivation to strike. You're moving with expectation, preparing for what you prayed for, building capacity for the things you are destined to carry. And as you create that space day after day, momentum becomes a supernatural partnership. What you can't accomplish in your own strength begins to move because you've created rhythm, discipline, and room for divine support. Momentum also changes how you respond to obstacles. When you're inconsistent, every setback feels like a stopping point. When you've cultivated consistency, setbacks become speed bumps instead of roadblocks. You don't question your worth every time you fall. You don't throw the whole plan away because you miss one day. You don't surrender the vision because of a temporary detour. Consistency teaches resilience. It teaches patience. It teaches you that progress is not linear, but it's still progress. And because you've been faithful in the small things, you develop a confidence that reminds you you're capable of recovering quickly. Another reason consistency creates momentum is that it simplifies your life. When you build daily habits, you remove decision fatigue. You stop negotiating with yourself every morning about whether you're going to show up or not. The decision has already been made. The habit is already in motion. And when your actions no longer depend on your mood, momentum becomes inevitable. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they rely on motivation instead of structure. Consistency is the structure. It is the foundation that holds momentum steady. And maybe one of the most powerful things about consistency is that it doesn't ask you to be extraordinary. It only asks you to be committed. You don't need to know everything. You don't need to have every step figured out. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to show up today and then tomorrow and then the next day. It's the small, repeated actions that create the biggest transformations. It's the discipline of returning, even when it's boring, even when it's difficult, even when no one is cheering. Momentum grows in those moments because consistency strengthens the muscles that breakthroughs depend on. Consistency creates momentum because it teaches you that the process matters as much as the outcome. It builds you, shapes you, and equips you. It stretches your capacity and expands your endurance. It proves to you that you can handle more than you thought you could. It shows you that greatness isn't a single event. It's a lifestyle. And the more you practice it, the more unstoppable you become. Discipline protects your destiny because destiny is never built on desire alone. It is built on the decisions you make daily, even when they are uncomfortable, unexciting, or inconvenient. So many people have God-sized dreams, but human-sized discipline, and it creates a gap between what they want and what they are willing to work for. Discipline closes that gap. It becomes the bridge between intention and transformation. It holds your vision steady when distractions come knocking. It guards the purpose over your life from being stolen by temporary feelings, outside pressures, or internal doubt. Discipline is not punishment. It is protection. It is the boundary line that keeps you aligned with what you said you were going to do, who you said you were going to be, and the future that is waiting for you if you stay committed long enough to reach it. When you understand discipline as protection, you stop seeing it as the enemy of your freedom and start seeing it as the guardian of your growth. So many people avoid discipline because they think it restricts their life, but the truth is undisciplined living is the real restriction. Without discipline, you become controlled by impulses, emotions, and habits that keep you stuck. Without discipline, your future is left vulnerable to every distraction that shows up with a little excitement. Discipline protects your time, your energy, your goals, your values, and your potential. It helps you elevate your standards, and when your standards rise, your life rises with them. Discipline is the internal security system of your destiny. It sounds the alarm every time you start drifting away from what you were called to do. Discipline also demands honesty. You cannot build a destiny on excuses, denial, or procrastination. Discipline asks you to confront the behaviors and mindsets that sabotage your progress. It requires you to stop lying to yourself about what's holding you back and take responsibility for the role you play in your own outcomes. While motivation feels good, discipline forces you to face the truth. The life you want is either being built or being delayed by your choices. Discipline teaches you that you can't pray for a breakthrough and then keep living in patterns that block it. It teaches you that you cannot rise to a destiny you refuse to work for. When you embrace honesty, discipline becomes less of a challenge and more of a standard. Another reason discipline protects your destiny is because it separates the temporary from the eternal. Feelings change, seasons change, people change, but discipline keeps you anchored. When you rely on motivation, you will always be inconsistent because motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. Discipline keeps you in alignment on the days when you're tired, when you're discouraged, when no one is clapping, when the results are slow, and when the process feels stretching. It reminds you that you are not building for this moment. You are building for the future version of yourself who will need the strength you are cultivating right now. That future version of you deserves the discipline you practice today. Discipline protects your destiny because it helps you master your impulses. Every destiny has an enemy, and one of the biggest enemies is impulse, reaction without intention, choices without thinking, decisions based on comfort instead of calling. Impulses can sabotage relationships, finance opportunities, and credibility. Discipline creates a pause. It gives you room to think, evaluate, breathe, pray, and choose from a place of intention instead of emotion. When you live from that place consistently, you become harder to manipulate and harder to distract. Destiny requires maturity, and discipline is one of the most powerful forms of maturity you can develop. Discipline also teaches delayed gratification, one of the most important ingredients for long-term success. We often want immediate results, but meaningful growth is rarely immediate. Destiny is a long journey, and the people who reach it are the ones who learn how to wait with purpose, not waiting passively, but waiting while working. Delayed gratification teaches you how to invest in your future self instead of catering to your current comfort. It teaches you how to prioritize the long game over the short thrill. It shifts your focus from what feels good now to what will produce greatness later. When you learn the value of delayed gratification, you no longer panic over slow progress because you understand that every disciplined choice is a seed. And seeds don't grow instantly, but they always grow faithfully. Discipline also protects your destiny by strengthening your character. Gifts can open doors, but only character can keep you in the room. Talent may take you places quickly, but without discipline, you won't have the stability to remain there. Discipline builds patience, humility, perseverance, and integrity. It teaches you how to handle pressure without collapsing, rejection without internalizing it, and success without becoming entitled. Many people lose opportunities not because they lack talent, but because they lack character. Destiny requires more than skill. It requires depth. And discipline is the daily practice that deepens you. Discipline shapes your identity, transforms how you see yourself and what you believe you're capable of. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you send a message to your mind that you are stronger than your excuses. You reinforce the truth that you are capable, committed, and willing to sacrifice for what matters. Over time, discipline becomes a part of who you are instead of something you force yourself to do. It becomes natural, instinctive, and almost automatic. When discipline becomes identity, destiny becomes reachable. You start making decisions based on the future you instead of the past you. You stop negotiating with your purpose. You stop lowering your standards. You stop choosing comfort over calling. Another dimension of discipline is that it attracts favor and opportunity. People trust disciplined individuals because discipline signals reliability, consistency, and excellence. When you are disciplined, doors open not by chance, but by credibility. Favor flows toward responsibility. Opportunities are drawn to those who have prepared for them. Destiny moments rarely come to those who are unprepared. They come to those who have been faithful in the dark, steady in the quiet, committed in the mundane. When preparation meets opportunity, breakthrough happens, and discipline is preparation in motion. Discipline also protects your destiny by helping you stay grounded during success. Many people think discipline is only needed during seasons of struggle, but it is even more important during seasons of elevation. Success can be intoxicating. It can blur your vision, inflate your ego, and make you careless if you're not anchored. Discipline keeps you humble. It reminds you that consistency matters more than applause, that character matters more than recognition, and that purpose matters more than popularity. Discipline keeps you rooted when life tries to lift you too fast. Finally, discipline protects your destiny by aligning you with divine timing. There are blessings you are not ready for until discipline stretches you enough to carry them. Discipline makes room for what you've been praying for. It prepares your hands, your mind, your habits, your spirit, and your lifestyle to manage the weight of the destiny assigned to you. Discipline is often the answer to prayers that seem unanswered because God won't give you something you are not prepared to sustain. Discipline is the preparation that activates the promise. Mindset shapes every outcome because your life will always rise or fall to the level of your thinking. Before a habit is formed, before a decision is made, before a breakthrough is pursued, a thought is planted. That thought becomes the lens through which you interpret your experiences, your challenges, your opportunities, and even your own identity. Mindset is the internal atmosphere that either suffocates your potential or breathes life into it. What you believe about yourself determines what you attempt, what you allow, what you tolerate, and what you walk away from. Many people are fighting battles externally that were actually lost internally long before they manifested in their behavior. The mind is the battleground, and until you learn how to shape it, strengthen it, and steward it, every other change will feel temporary. Your mindset decides how you respond to adversity. Two people can face the same obstacle. One sees it as a dead end, while the other sees it as a doorway. The difference is not the challenge itself. It is the meaning the mind assigns to it. With a growth mindset, failure becomes information, not identity. Setbacks become lessons, not labels. Delays become redirections, not denials. But with a limiting mindset, everything feels like personal proof of inadequacy. You start interpreting circumstances as evidence that you are incapable, unworthy, or unlucky. The truth is your mindset dictates whether you see possibilities or problems. And whichever one you focus on becomes the world you live in. Mindset also shapes your identity, and identity shapes your behavior. If you see yourself as someone who is always behind, you'll keep behaving like someone who can't catch up. If you see yourself as someone who never finishes anything, you'll subconsciously sabotage your progress. But when your mindset begins to shift, when you start seeing yourself as capable, evolving, and worthy of growth, your behavior begins to align with that new identity. You start choosing differently because you believe different. You start dreaming bigger because you think bigger. You start treating yourself with more compassion because you no longer see yourself through the lens of past failures. Mindset is not just about positive thinking. It's about identity transformation. Your mindset influences your discipline, your consistency, your relationships, your emotions, and even your resilience. A strong mindset won't prevent challenges, but it will prevent challenges from defeating you. When your mindset is grounded, you can face uncertainty without collapsing, navigate pressure without panicking, and endure storms without losing your sense of purpose. You stop living life at the mercy of your emotions and start living life aligned with your intentions. A stable mindset gives you the power to respond instead of react. It gives you the clarity to choose long-term values over short-term comfort. It helps you remain anchored even when life feels unpredictable. Mindset also shapes the way you speak to yourself. Your internal dialogue becomes the soundtrack of your destiny. The words you repeat in silence can either weaken you or strengthen you. Many people talk themselves out of opportunities before they even begin. They tell themselves they're not ready, not talented enough, not experienced enough, not deserving enough. And those thoughts become self-fulfilling because the body always follows the mind. Negative thinking produces hesitation. Hesitation produces inaction, and inaction produces regret. But when your mindset shifts, your inner voice begins to reflect truth instead of fear. You start saying, I can learn this, I can grow into this, I can handle this, I am becoming better. And those thoughts empower you to take steps you once avoided. Your mindset affects the standards you set and the boundaries you enforce. When your thinking is limited, you accept whatever life gives you. You tolerate mistreatment. You settle for less. You accept relationships that drain you, opportunities that shrink you, and environments that don't nurture you. But when your mindset expands, your standards rise. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You stop shrinking yourself to fit people who refuse to grow. You stop settling for situations that don't reflect the value you carry. A strong mindset teaches you that protecting your peace, your purpose, and your growth is not selfish, it's necessary. Mindset also shapes your capacity for gratitude. When your thoughts are focused only on what is missing, you overlook what is present. You miss the small wins, the quiet blessings, the subtle progress. Gratitude is not just an emotion, it's a mindset. It trains your brain to recognize abundance even in seasons of lack. It keeps your heart open. It keeps your spirit soft. And a grateful mindset produces resilience because you always have a reason to keep going. Gratitude and growth are deeply connected because a grateful mind sees possibility where a negative mind sees limitation. Another dimension of mindset is the ability to imagine and visualize. Your mind is capable of rehearsing your future before you ever step into it. Visualization strengthens belief, and belief strengthens action. When you can see yourself achieving something in your mind, your body becomes more willing to move in that direction. But the reverse is also true. If your mindset is filled with fear, doubt, and images of failure, you will unconsciously move toward those outcomes. Training your mindset means training your imagination to work for you rather than against you. Mindset shapes your emotional resilience. A weak mindset gets overwhelmed easily. It panics under pressure, crumbles under criticism, and spirals from small setbacks. But a strong mindset feels emotions without being controlled by them. It allows you to experience fear without surrendering to it. It allows you to feel disappointment without becoming defined by it. It allows you to acknowledge pain without allowing it to dictate your decisions. Emotional intelligence is rooted in mindset because how you interpret your emotions determines how you respond to them. Mindset influences what you expect from life. If you expect struggle, you will overlook opportunities. If you expect failure, you will ignore solutions. If you expect rejection, you will misinterpret connection. But if you expect growth, you will find lessons everywhere. If you expect progress, you will recognize even the smallest steps forward. If you expect goodness, you will notice blessings you used to rush past. Expectations are powerful because they prepare your mind to receive or reject what life presents. Mindset shapes every outcome because every outcome begins with a thought. The life you dream about cannot be built with a mindset that contradicts it. If you want transformation, you must train your mind to think in alignment with the future you are creating. That means challenging old beliefs, rewriting outdated narratives, choosing empowering perspectives, and practicing mental habits that support your growth. Mindset work is daily work. It's intentional, it's active, and it is the foundation that determines how high you can rise, how far you can go, and how much you can become